Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is T of the FTK Crochet brand, and today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful looking lollipop jackets. I call it the lollipop jacket because the colors actually reminds me of lollipops. Alright, so it is a detailed step-by-step tutorial. So if you are a beginner, this is something you can actually make for yourself or for a loved one. Alright, but before we go into today's tutorial, have you subscribed to my channel yet? Don't you think you are missing too much not subscribed to this channel? So I'm going to give you a minute now to click on that subscription button below so you do not miss out on any of the tutorial that I post on here. Alright, and I need you to like this video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. Alright, and I need you to comment your thoughts on this video as well so I can improve on the next one. Alright, so without any further ado, let us get into this tutorial. Okay, so for this project, these are the materials that you are going to need. You are going to need your yarn, of course, and you already know I'm going to be using 4 colors to create the granny square that we are going to be using for this project. Alright, so we are going to need the pink color, the white color, the green color, and this very light yellow color. But you do not have to use these colors if you do not want to. You can go ahead to make your own choices on what you want to use for your own granny square. Alright, because as you can see, the white is going to be my base color, but these ones are just what I'm going to be using to create the granny square. Alright, and now you are going to need the scissors. Definitely you are going to need some stitch markers. You are going to need your measurement tape, very important. You are going to need the tapestry needle, and on this project we are going to be working with 2 hook sizes. Alright, so we are going to be working with the 3.5mm hook size and the 4mm hook size. Alright, the 3mm hook size is what we are going to be using to create our square, and the 4mm hook size is what we are going to be using to do the joining. Okay, so let us get into it. Okay, so for this project, these are the fancy squares that we are going to be making. I call them fancy because they are so beautiful. It's not your regular granny square. All right, so this is a sample of the 2 that I've made. So as you can see, you see how I played with my colors. I made one of this color and I made one of this color, but just playing with it in between as well. All right, so this is what I'm going to be showing you how to create. But first, let us get into our measurements. Okay, so this one now is actually exactly 6 inches. Okay, so for the front, I'm going to be making 2 like this on one part. So this 2 now is going to give me exactly 12 inches. So I'm going to be doing 12 inches on this part and 12 inches on the other part. Okay, so for the front, I'm going to be making 6 on one row and 6 on the other row. Okay, then for the back, I'm going to double it and I'm going to be making 12 at the back instead of the 6 that I'm making on the front. Okay, because it's going to be made into 3 panels since it's going to be a jacket. Okay, so let us get into creating our first square. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how to create the square, then you go ahead to make the rest of it. So for this one, we are going to be making this color. All right, so to begin, you are going to make a magic ring, and don't forget, for the square we are using the 3.5mm hook size. Okay, so you are going to make a magic ring, and then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so on this magic ring now, you are going to be putting in 16 double crochet. And don't forget, this chain 3 is already serving as 1 double crochet. So you go ahead now to put 15 more double crochets on this magic ring. All right, so that's 2, 3, 4, and 16. All right, so now we have exactly 16 on this first row now. So you're just going to drag the strand at the bottom to tie the middle, close the middle up. Okay, so to end on this row now, you're just going to do a slip stitch on the very first chain 3 stitch that we started with right here, just like this. All right, so now we are done with our row 1. All you need to do now is chain up 1 and cut off this yarn, because we are going to be switching colors. So now we are going to be working on the white color. So you tie this one. So for the yarn, I'm actually putting 2 strands together because one of the strand is too tiny for me, and I don't like working with tiny yarns. So this yarn happened to be an acrylic 2-ply yarn. So putting 2 together, automatically I'm creating 4-ply for myself. But you can actually go ahead to use whatever yarn that you feel comfortable using. Okay, so automatically the yarn I'm using is an acrylic 4-ply yarn. Okay, so the next step now, which is our round 2, you are going to be reattaching your yarn anywhere on this space. Okay, so I'm going to be picking this space now here. So you're going to reattach your white yarn here, and you're going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. So on this row we are going to be creating clusters. All right, so this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. So on this same space we are going to be putting in 2 more double crochets on this space to create our very first cluster. All right, so now you are going to chain up 1, okay, then skip 2 stitches, and on the next space right here, after you skip your 2, you are going to be going in there with another cluster. 1, 2, and 3. And then you are going to chain up 1, skip 2 stitches again, and on this space right here, after you skip your 2 stitches, you're going to be going in there with another cluster. So on this row, you are just going to be making 1 chain, and you are going to skip 2 stitches, and on the next space you are going to be going in with a cluster. Like I said, always make sure you chain up 1. Okay, so on this row 2 now, you are going to be making 8 clusters in total. Okay, so I'm going to be going off camera now to create my own 8. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. So as you can see, I only have just 2 stitches left. So to end on this row now, I'm going to just chain up 1 and do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that we started with right here, just like this, to end on this row. All right, and chain up 1 and cut off this yarn, because we are going to be switching to our next yarn color. So now that happens to be the pink color. All right, so you are going to make a slip knot and reattach your yarn on any of the chain 1 space. All right, so I'm going to be picking this space right here, and then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. So this one is going to be a little bit different. On this space now, you are going to be going in that space with 5 more double crochet. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1. So when you add 5 more, it gives you 6 double crochet on this space. Okay, so now it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, and then you're going to chain up 1, and on the next space you're going to be repeating exactly the same thing. You're going to be putting in 6 double crochet on that same space. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so for this row, this is exactly what you are going to be doing until you come up with 8 of that all around. Okay, because now you have 8 spaces, so you're going to be putting in 6 double crochet on each of the spaces, and you chain 1 in between. Okay, so I'm at the end of our row 4 now. So to end on this row, you're just going to chain up 1 that I already did, and then you're going to do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that you started with here, just like this, and then you're going to chain up 1 and cut off this yarn. All right, so now we are going to be going into our next row that happens to be this row. So we are going to be needing our green color. All right, so now you're going to be reattaching your yarn on any of these chain 1 spaces. All right, so I'm going to be picking this space right here. So on this space now, you're going to reattach your yarn and you're going to chain up 5. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And on this same space now, you're going to be going in there with just 1 double crochet, just like this. All right, so now you are going to chain up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And on the next space, you are going to be doing a single crochet. All right, so here now on this space here, you're going to do a single crochet on that space, just like this. And then you're going to chain up 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And on the next space, you're going to be creating this one again. Okay, so you are going to go in there with a double crochet, then chain up 2, and on that same space, you're going to be going in there with another double crochet. So now we are trying to create the corners. All right, so this is our first corner, and this is a side, and this is our second corner. All right, so now we are going to the next side. So you are going to chain up 6. Please just watch what I'm doing clearly, okay? Chain up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, and then on the next space, you are going to be going there with a single crochet, just like this. Okay, and now you are going to chain up 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then on the next space here, that happens to be our next corner, you are going to be going in there with a double crochet, then chain up 2, and on that same space right here, you're going to be going in there with another double crochet. Okay, and then you chain 6 again, and on the next space you're going to go in with a single crochet, chain up 6 again, and on the next space you're going to create the next corner. All right, so I'm going off camera to finish mine, and I'll come back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. Okay. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 4 now, and this is how it's looking. So to end on this row, you're just going to chain up 6 as usual, and then you're going to be doing a slip stitch on the very 3rd chain stitch right here. So you count from the bottom, 1, 2, and 3. So on the 3rd chain stitch is where you're going to be doing your slip stitch to end this row, and then you're going to chain up 1 and then cut off this yarn. And then tie. So you see the square is coming to life now. So cute. All right, so our next row now is going to be the white again. Okay, so this is where we're at. So you're going to be reattaching your yarn now in one of the corner spaces. So I'm going to be picking here that we just ended this one. All right, so on this corner now, you are going to reattach your yarn and chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget, this chain 3 is serving as 1 double crochet for us. Okay, so on this same space, you're going to be going in there with 2 more double crochets to create a cluster, just like that. All right, so now you are going to be chaining up 2. You're going to make 2 chains, 1 and 2, and on this same corner space, you are going to be going in there with another cluster. That's 3 double crochet. 1, 2 and 3. All right, so now you are going to chain up 1. All right, and then on this next space right here, you are going to be going in here now with 5 double crochet. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then you are going to chain up 1, and on the next space you are going to be going in there with 5 double crochet, just like we did here. Okay, so this space you're going to go in with 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so now you're going to chain up 1, and on this corner space now you're going to be going in there with 1 cluster, which is 3 double crochet first, 2 and then 3, and then you're going to chain up 2, 1 and 2, and on that same corner space you're going to be going in there with another cluster. That's 3 double crochet, 2 and then 3. All right, so this is exactly what you're going to be doing for this row. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 5 now. So I just finished putting in my 5 double crochet. So to end on this row, you're just going to chain up 1, and then you are going to do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch here that you started with, just like this. And then you're going to chain up 1 and cut off this yarn, because we are going to be changing the yarn color. All right, so this is how we are looking so far. So to complete the square now, we are going to be putting in our last color. So as you can see, we started with we started with this color, so that is the same color that we are going to be ending with right here. So now we need our yellow color. So this last row is very easy, it's very simple, because we're just going to be putting in double crochet all around. Okay, so you can reattach your yarn in any of the corners. I'm going to be picking just this corner here, and then you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and don't forget this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. So on this same space you are going to be going in there with 3 more double crochet, so this space gets 4 double crochets, so that makes it 2, 3 and 4. All right, so from here on out, each of the stitches you are going to be putting in 1 double crochet. So this is our first stitch, gets 1 double crochet, and the next stitch gets 1 double crochet, and the next stitch gets 1 double crochet, and don't forget there is a chain 1 here. So on this space you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet, and then just keep putting in 1 double crochet on each of the stitches. Then when you get to the chain 1 space, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet until you get to the corner here again. So on this corner you put in 4 double crochet. So each of the corners you put in 4 double crochet, then each of the stitches 1 double crochet, and then all of the chain 1 spaces you put in 1 double crochet. That is what you are going to be doing all around. Okay, so I'm done with the double crochet all around, and this is how it's looking. Let me hide all these ones. Don't worry, we are going to be working all these ones in, so they won't be a bother later. All right, so now to end on this row, you are going to be doing a slip stitch just on the chain 3 stitch that you started with right here to end this row. And now you're going to chain up 1 and then cut off this yarn because we are done with our very first square. And tie. All right, so this is how it's looking. So now we are done with making 3 for now. So for the front panel, we need 6 altogether. All right, but for the neck area, we are going to be doing 1 as a triangle. So we are not going to be doing the whole 6 fully like this. So we are going to be doing 5, then 1 triangle. Don't worry, I'm going to be showing you how to make the triangle. But for now, I'm going to go off camera to create 2 more of these squares. And then I'll come back to show you how we are going to create the triangle that is going to make our neck area. All right. Okay, so I'm done creating my 5 squares now. So now on this part, now we are going to be making the triangle that will give us our neck area on this part. And as you can see how I played with my colors, I have the yellow, pink, pink, yellow, yellow. So now with the triangle we are going to be creating for the neck area, we are going to be doing the pink color. All right, so let us get into creating the triangle now. Okay, so for this triangle, I'm going to be doing this color. All right, so I'm going to be starting with the pink color and ending with the pink color. All right, so to begin the triangle, you are going to make a magic ring, just like this. And then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And on this same magic ring now, you are going to be putting in 7 more double crochets because this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. Okay, so this is going to be 2, 3, and then 8. All right, so with this one, we are not going to be closing this one up. Since it's going to be triangle, this is how it's going to stay. Okay, so now you're going to chain up 1 and you're going to be cutting off this yarn because we are going to be switching to the other color that happens to be white. Okay, so to begin on the row 2, you are going to reattach your yarn on this chain 3 stitch that we started with on the row 1, and then you are going to chain up 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so now you are going to be skipping 2 stitches. All right, and then you are going to be going into the next space with a cluster. 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to chain up 1. You're going to skip 2 stitches again, and then you're going to put a cluster on the next space. All right, so you are going to chain up 1 and skip 2 stitches, and on the next space you are going to go in with another cluster. All right, and now you are going to chain up 1 and you are going to be putting a double crochet on the very last stitch right here. Hope you're seeing what I'm doing. Just like this. So this is how you get the row 2. Okay, so what you're going to do now, you're going to cut off this yarn and tie because we are going to be switching to our next color. That happens to be the yellow color. All right, so now you are going to be reattaching your yarn on the very first chain 4 space that you made here. you're going to reattaching your yarn here now, and then you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. So on this same space, you're going to be going in there with 5 more double crochets to complete the 6 double crochet that is going to be on this same space. 4, 5 and 6, and then you are going to chain up 1, and on the next space you are just going to go in there with 6 double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So on this row, this is exactly what you are going to be doing. Okay, so now you are going to chain up 1 again, and on the next space you are going to put in 6 double crochet, chain up 1, and on this last part here you are going to be ending with 6 double crochet, just like we begin here. All right, so I'm going off camera to complete mine, and I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 3 now, and this is how it's looking so far. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm going to chain up 1 and then cut off this yarn, because we are going to be switching to the next color. So the next color now happens to be the green color. All right. So now you are going to be reattaching your yarn on the chain 3 we started with right here. All right, so this chain 3 stitch, that is where you are going to be going into, and then you are going to chain up 5, because we're about to start creating the corners now. Okay, so chain up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So on this same stitch right now, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet. In that space to create our first corner. All right, so now you are going to chain up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then on the next space you are going to be going in there with a single crochet. Okay, and now you're going to chain up 6 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then this part now happens to be our next corner. You're going to go in there with a double crochet, chain up 2, and on that same space you're going to be going in there with another double crochet. So it's basically the same thing you did for the square. That's what you're doing on the triangle, but on this triangle we are just going to be making 3 corners. Okay, so now you're going to chain up 6 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then on this next space right here you are going to be going in there with a single crochet. Okay, and then chain up 6 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then on this last stitch right here you are going to be going in there with a double crochet, chain up 2, 1 and 2, and on that same space you are going to be going in there with another double crochet like we did in the beginning. So you can see our triangle is taking form already. So now we are going to be cutting off this yarn, because we are going to be switching to our white yarn color. All right, so make sure you chain up 1 and tie. All right, so now to begin the next color, you are going to be reattaching your yarn at the very first corner here where we begin. Okay, so you are going to reattach your yarn here now, and then you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So on this same space now, you are going to be putting in 2 more double crochet on this space, and 2, because don't forget the chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet, so we only need 1 cluster right here. Okay, so now you're going to chain up 1, and on the next space right here now, you're going to be going in there with 5 double crochet, just like we did in the square. Okay, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to chain up 1, and on the next space you are going to be going in there with 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to chain up 1 again. So now we are on our corner on top here. So what you're going to do now, you're going to go in with the first cluster, just like this. You remember how we created the corners on the square, then chain up 2, and on that same space you are going to go in there with another cluster, and then 3. All right, so now you are going to chain up 1, and then you are going to continue doing exactly what you did on this side. Okay, so I'm going off camera now to do mine, and I'll come back to show you how we are going to be ending this row. Okay, so I'm done with the row 5. So I just need to chain up 1 and cut off this yarn, because now we are going to be switching to our next color. All right, so the next color now happens to be the pink, the one we started with. So now you are going to reattach your yarn on this very chain 3 we made here. All right, so that is where you're going to be going into the very chain 3 stitch. That's where you are going to attach your yarn, and then chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget, this chain 3 is going to be standing as 1 double crochet. Okay, so now on the next stitch you are going to be going in there with a double crochet, and then on the next stitch you are going to be going in there with a double crochet, and don't forget this chain 1 space takes 1 double crochet. So you remember what we did on the square. This is exactly what you are just going to be doing. 1 double crochet on each of the stitches all across this particular row. Okay, and do not forget, when you get to this corner, this happens to be our one and only corner since it's a triangle shape, you are going to be putting 4 inside the space. Okay, this chain 2 space right here is going to get 4 of the double crochets, then continue putting in 1 double crochet until you get to the end here. Okay, so as you can see, I'm done with my triangle, and this is how the triangle shape is looking. All right, I'm just going to cut off this yarn now and then tie. All right, so this is all you need to know for our squares and our triangle. So I'm just going to arrange them now so you can understand the vision. I'm going to be doing it vertically because my table is not big enough to actually get it on the right parts like this. Okay, so this is going to be my arrangement. This is the top. Okay, and then a pink comes here, and then a yellow comes here, and then a yellow comes here, and then a pink comes here. So as you can see, we are done with the first front panel. This is how it is looking. Okay, so all we just need to do now is join it together, and we know that we are done with the first front panel. Okay, so one last detail before we go into joining our squares together. We are going to be doing a single crochet on this bottom part of the triangle to complete it. I just want the edges here to be very neat. Okay, so we are going to be using the pink color now to do single crochets right here. All right. Okay, so to start on the joining, I'm going to be switching to the 4mm hook size. Remember, we've been creating the squares with 3.5mm hook size. This one is going to go one side now, so we are switching to our 4mm hook size. And like I told you, my base color is the white color, so I'm going to be using the white color to do the joining of the squares together. All right, so the method we are going to be using for this one is going to be the single crochet method, because we want the design of the single crochet bump to be part of the design of the whole jacket we are making. All right, so now to start on that one, you are going to be going into the very middle stitch here. You remember when we were creating the square, we actually made 4 inside this space here, this chain 2 space. So that's the stitch that you're going to be going into with your hook on this granny square, and you're going to be doing exactly the same thing on this side as well. Make sure it's the middle stitch that you are picking. All right, and now you are going to reattach your yarn right there. All right, and chain up 1. All right, so this is how you join now. On the next stitch now, you're going to be going in there, and the next stitch on the other panel, you're going to be going in there, and then you do a single crochet just like that, and then come back to this granny square and go into the next granny square. The next stitch, you go in there and do a single crochet. So this is how you do the joining of the squares together. All right, so that's why I told you to lay it all out, so you just keep following it. Okay, so as you can see, it's all laid out. So as I join now, I'll just keep doing my single crochet all across, get to this part, just continue until the very end here. So I'm going to go off camera now to do my first joining on this part, and I'll come back to show you how we do the joining on the other sides. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to the end here now, and this is how the join is looking. You see how pretty it looks with the single crochet puffiness outside here. It's so cute. All right, so now that I've gotten to the end of this part, no need to cut out your yarn. All you just need to do now, you are going to be doing single crochets all across on this side here down to this parts. Okay, and then you continue joining. When you get to this part, you do the single crochet here again down to this parts and continue joining, because we are still going to be doing single crochet all across the body, so no need cutting the yarn and reattaching it and cutting it and reattaching it. So all we just need to do now is just continue putting in 1 single crochet on each of the stitches, just like this. All right, so just continue doing 1 single crochet on each of the stitches like I've explained to you. So when you get to this spot here, just start joining these 2 together all the way down to this part. So instead of cutting your yarn, you don't have to, just keep putting in your single crochet. So this is how you continue joining the rest of the squares together. All right. Okay, I'm done with the joining, and as you can see, you see how it comes out. And like I explained to you, I ended up putting 1 single crochet because this is the only way you could get from point A to point B when we are joining. Okay, so now the next step is going to be putting another round of single crochet all around this panel. All right, so I'm going to go off camera now to put 1 single crochet row all around this one, and I'm going to come back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. Okay, so I'm done with the first front panel, and this is how it's looking. You see how beautiful these colors are. So the next step now is going to be making something identical like this, because like I told you, we are going to be doing 2 front panels and 1 back panel. All right, so go ahead now to make all of your squares and make just 1 triangle and do exactly the same thing that you've done on this panel 1 on panel 2. So I'm going off camera to do mine now. Okay, so I'm done with my two front panel, and this is how it's looking. So beautiful. All right, so now the next step is going to be doing the back panel. Okay, so you are going to be doing exactly the same thing for the back panel, but without the triangles. All right, so you're just going to do exactly 12 squares, and then you're going to join it together just exactly how we joined this together. So the only difference now, like I said, is the neck area. We don't need that for the back panel. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with my back panel, and see how gorgeous this looks. I'm just in love with the colors. It's so beautiful. So now we are done with our three panels. So the next thing now is going to be joining all of them together. So I'm going to take it to my table now, and we are going to be joining it. All right. Okay, so to begin the joining, make sure that the back is what is facing the front. All right, for the back panel. Then for the front panel, make sure that the front is what is facing the front. So the two backs will be facing each other, and this front is going to be just like this. Okay, so the joining is going to be exactly what we used in joining the squares together. That is what we're going to be using to join the shoulders, and that's what we're going to be using to join the sides. All right, so to join the sides, you're going to be taking the measurements around your arm. All right, so for this one, I'm going to be doing 8.5 plus 8.5. That's 17 inches for my arm. And then I'm going to put a stitch marker and do exactly the same thing for the back as well, so I know where to leave for my arm area. So this is 8.5, and it's even easier because from the square now it's exactly half of this one. So I'm going to be using this same stitch marker now to just block these parts just like this. So that's basically what you should do. Then this side now, you can close this part up, and after closing the shoulder, you already know where to end on the shoulder parts on this particular line, because this side is going to be our shoulder, our neckline. Okay, so close this side, the shoulders, and it will reveal your armhole. Okay, so use the single crochet method using the 4mm hook size that we've been using to join. It's exactly the same thing. So that's what you're going to be doing on the shoulder area and on the sides. So I'm going off camera now to do my joining, and I'll be back to show you how it's looking and what we're going to be doing next. Okay. Okay, so I'm done doing the joining. So this is the shoulders. All right, and this is the side. You see how beautiful this looks. So as you can see now, it carries the same designs that this part carries. All right, so everything now is kind of uniform. How I like it. All right, so now the next step is going to be putting a single crochet all around the edges of this project. Okay, so you are going to be doing that on the arm, just one row of single crochet around this arm, around this one, and then you are going to start from the back here and do it all across down to the bottom, all through the bottom, just like this, down to this part. So every part of this top, you are going to be putting in one single crochet, just one row of single crochet all around the edges of the top. So I'm going to go off camera now to do mine, and I'll come back to show you how it's looking and what we are going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm done putting in the single crochet all across the edges of the jackets, and this is how the thing is looking now. So beautiful. All right, so the last thing to do now is putting this 4 yarn all around the edges as well, but this is optional. If you don't have this, you can actually go ahead to rock your jacket like this, because this is all ready. All right, but I just want the aesthetic of this to be all around. I'm going to be putting it on the hand, I'm going to be putting it on the neck, across here, then at the bottom as well. Okay, so I'm done putting in my 4 yarn, and as you can see, it has taken it to another level. This is so beautiful. All right, so this is the final results. The table is actually not doing justice to how this thing looks. It's so cute. Alright, so with this, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I do hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I did making the video. If you do, make sure to like the video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. And make sure you subscribe to my channel if you've not done that before, and click on that tiny notification bell below so you do not miss out on any of this tutorial that I post on here. Alright, if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on the comment section and I will be happy to help. Alright, so until next time, bye bye.